Standing next to this guy, he turns towards me and he sneezes like this. He goes, "Phew!" I looked at him and I went, God bless you. Yeah, I said it like that. God bless you. Which, you know, is God bless you, but it kind of sounded like cover your mouth. Guy looks at me and very condescending, he goes, yeah, I'm an atheist. I'm trying to be polite. I don't know you're an atheist, right? And even if I did, what am I supposed to say when an atheist sneezes? When you die, nothing happens. He goes, well, what about you? What did you grow up? I said, well, I was raised Catholic. What do you believe happens to you after you die? And I said, okay, well, hopefully I live a good life and my soul goes to heaven. He's giggling. He's like, you believe this? This is what... So he's laughing at my beliefs, and finally I just snap back, what about you? Okay, what about you, all right? What happens to you after you die? Now he gets very serious, like he's gonna school me, okay? I know what's going to happen to me after I die. After I pass on, my body will become one with this earth. And with that, I will return as a huge, beautiful tree. I hope when he dies, he does become a tree. And wouldn't it be fantastic if while he was out there just enjoying his treeness, through the woods a huge sweaty guy with an axe comes along, sees him, chops him down, smash, put a chain around him, drag him through the mud and the muck, throw him into a sawmill, grind him up. Then you pound him down into paper. Once he's paper, you print the Bible on him.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look, as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
You can't always tell everything that's going on right up front, because if you tell everything that's going on right up front, then your enemy is going to know exactly what you're doing.
I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
So yeah, we have a bigger issue than just Democrats. We have an issue of the American indoctrinated people that just let things like this go. It's been happening for years and years and years, and frankly, I'm sick of it. And so I'm just telling you, they're telling you, and they've been telling you this stuff in front of your face for a really long time.
Our own government working against us. I mean, we've always had the government working against us. We just didn't know it. Hey, everybody. Oh, look at that. Look at that craziness happening. Yeah, that was a crazy introduction there. Do you see that stop motion thing? What in the heck is going on with that? Yeah, stop motion. Weird. I don't know why it's doing that. But anyway, did you see that intro? I got people over here on TikTok too. So hopefully you guys can hear and see and all that kind of stuff, what's going on over here. I'm going to be showing you some videos today. I'm still trying to figure out why is that going like that. Here, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff up here and just stay with where I'm at. And hopefully that will help. If you guys are over there on my American Matters radio show, I don't know what to tell you. That's the way it is. I'm not going to be able to see you guys over here on Rumble as well. So let me see. We've got Richard Reeves, nice, and we've got Ralph Riley. Look at that, smooth. All right, so we've got Ralph Riley and Richard Reeves. Nice to see you. We got Barb, and I know there's some other people in here. So if you want to say hi, go ahead, put it in the comments. I can see you guys on TikTok. TikTok are the ones who have all the behind-the-scenes look. So if it looks like you're looking up at me, well, you are. Because I don't know where the little thing is that holds my phone. Actually. So here's what's interesting. So today we have another shooting event. And it was in Dallas. I'm going to get that up for you. It's for those of you who don't know, John Solomon has a news site called Just the News. John Solomon is a guy who is a pretty responsible reporter. I'm going to see if I can put this up on the screen right now so I can share my screen with you in this particular tab. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I'm going to share this with you. See, look, 3 people were shot at the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Dallas facility on Wednesday, one of whom was killed while 2 others were injured and taken to a hospital, according to police. Special agent in charge of the FBI Dallas field office, Joe Rothrock, said during a press conference on Wednesday that the suspected shooter wrote anti-ICE messages on the rounds of ammunition. I wonder where he got that idea. Just wondering. Not sure. Where could that be? Rothrock added that they are not releasing the identities of the victims at this time. Now, from what I understand, they were detainees. But no law enforcement members were injured during the shooting. He said that is an ongoing investigation between the FBI federal and local partners to ensure anyone responsible is held accountable. Dallas police said that the officers responded to the facility around 6:40 a.m. local time with the suspect shot at from a nearby building. Fox 4, that's what Fox 4 reported. The victim who was killed died at the scene, and the suspect shooter is confirmed dead. So that is what happened there. That being said, yeah, that is not good. That's not good. I'm wondering how many of these things are going to continue to happen. John Solomon is one of 2 authorized reporters for Guantanamo Bay. I don't know about that or not. I know that there's like 4 that are there for Gitmo, and they're independent reporters. I don't know about John himself. So that's kind of interesting as well. But yeah, so I just wanted to make you aware. Sometimes I don't always talk about whatever the new thing is because it's not as important as what we're going to discuss on a different level. But if you saw the opening clip, then you could see the montage of rhetoric coming out of the left. Hey, Star, nice to see you. Yeah, you can't trust the mainstream media at all. At all. I used to be part of that mainstream media, that media, and I quit because it was just ridiculous having to report whatever they told you and whatever angle they gave you. That's what you had to do. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that because it's not even the right angle, especially when it came to politicians. It was always smearing one side over the other, which of course was always smearing the conservative. So Ilhan Omar, if this, okay, so Ilhan Omar, now this is from the Dr. Steve Turley. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but I watch him every now and then. Dr. Steve Turley has pretty good takes on things. And so this is from his show. He had a clip on here, and this is Ilhan Omar after Charlie Kirk. After all this stuff with Charlie Kirk, this is how defiant and ridiculous this woman is. Calls to deport her are mounting because of this particular interview that she did with Caitlin Collins. And it's kind of amazing because Caitlin Collins is a liberal butt kisser. I don't even know any other way to put it. And she's always toting water for whatever is bad. But for some reason, in this particular video, she actually is kind of appalled. It appears as if she's appalled, which hardly ever she makes a facial expression at what Ilhan Omar is saying. So listen to this. This is ridiculous.
The day after his shocking death,
she's talking about Charlie Kirk.
That his views were being litigated in that way. No one's saying you have to lionize him.
But we were responding to the people who were lionizing him. I was not going to have a debate on Charlie. We were responding to the people who wanted the debate on Charlie.
See, this is so ridiculous to me. We are responding to the people who want to have a debate about Charlie. Now listen to the ridiculous rhetoric that comes out of her pie hole, which needs to be shipped right back to Somalia.
Out a tweet right when he was killed that political violence is wrong and that we should work everything within our power to end gun violence in this country. None of us were interested in litigating his life until his supporters and our House Republican colleagues decided to say he was akin to Martin Luther King, who this man loathed.
Now see, lie, that is a lie. Charlie Kirk never said that he loathed Martin Luther King. In fact, he was saying he was a civil rights leader and he got a lot of things done. Martin Luther King was not about violence. So this crap that's being spewed out of the head of that woman right there is another lie. That's all she ever does is lie. If she can frame it to make her lie push her lie, that's what she's going to do. And this is why I can't stand her, because I don't like liars at all.
So you invited us into that debate that you wanted to have, that you said Charlie was always in.
No one asked her opinion, by the way. I know I didn't ask her opinion. So his supporters, Charlie Kirk's supporters, never asked her a question, ever, because we already know that hatred is embodied in her, in Ilhan Omar.
Interested in. And so you cannot get upset. You can't be mad if people then hold that mirror and say, but here's really who he was. And we cannot forget. It's one thing to ask us to condemn the violence, but it's another for you to ask us to pretend Charlie wasn't who Charlie was.
I'm not sure anyone's asking that. I mean, maybe some
that
people
is
are.
that is what people are asking.
No, we're not asking
that. Is what
Can
people
I
are
ask you,
asking. People
Congresswoman,
are asking and are getting fired for sharing Charlie's words.
Well, and some people were celebrating.
See, she just lied again and said people are getting fired for sharing Charlie's words. That is not true. People are getting fired for being gleeful and posting it on social media, looking like the bloodthirsty slobs that they are. I don't want anybody representing my business that way. And I'm pretty sure that other people who, whether they're right or left, doesn't make any difference, don't want people in their organizations that are spewing so much hatred that they are now gleeful because someone has been murdered, okay, assassinated. in front of all these people, and they're super happy about it and spreading all kinds of lies. In fact, Ilhan Omar is one of the biggest liars about Charlie Kirk ever. What she said was that he thought it was okay to stone people. He never said anything of the sort. Not even one thing like that.
That was part of it. But
I haven't seen that.
Issue,
I've just seen people sharing his words.
See, that's a lie. I don't see any of them sharing his words. I see them being gleeful, dancing to music, pretending that this is the greatest thing that's ever happened in their entire lifetime. And if this is the greatest thing that's ever happened in your lifetime, you got a really sad life.
There was a town hall that you had 6 days ago. You called Kirk a quote, hateful man, and you had reposted a video that I'm sure you've seen you've taken criticism for. It's a video that called him a reprehensible human being and said Kirk was Dr. Frankenstein and his monster shot him through the neck. Why repost that video?
Because there were a lot of things in the video that I did agree with. Obviously, we share videos. We don't have to agree with every single word. But I do believe he was a reprehensible, hateful man.
Said the one who is the reprehensible, hateful person. I mean, she hates everybody. The only thing that she thinks is good is Somalia. This is why I don't understand why she doesn't go back. She goes out there and gives speeches to people who speak her language, saying how she is in Congress to further the progress of making Somalia great. Okay, so why don't you just get out of our country?
Like, that is my view of the words that he has said about every single identity that I belong to. He didn't believe that we should have equal access to anything. He also just didn't even.
Who is she saying that to? We who? We who? If you're a United States American, a United States citizen, everybody has the same exact opportunities. Now, whether you take them or not, that's one thing. Whether it's easy for you or not is another thing. You have access to it. How you get there is another story. Sometimes it's harder for people. Sometimes it's easier for people. But the opportunity is still there. You got to figure out how to take it. Now, if she's saying she's impressed in some way, I think that's kind of interesting, since she's a multimillionaire, since she has put her foot into Congress and married some guy who's a multimillionaire. She pretends like, I don't have any money. Yeah, sure.
Believe I could be smart.
And I'm talking about after she married her brother. She married her brother, then she divorced him because he was already over here, and now she's married to some other guy. I don't even know why anybody would care to marry her, but there's a lot of twisted minds in the world.
Enough. I could have thoughts that could be equal to a white man.
See, this isn't even keeping it in my head. She's literally saying that Charlie Kirk could not perceive of a woman like her having the same capability or thoughts in her head that he would have. He never said anything of the sort. Now, do I think that Ilhan Omar can have the same thoughts in her head as I have in my head? No, because there's a difference. There's pure evil, and then there's everybody else. And I think that she is so evil because you can't be that ingrained in lying constantly and not be evil. I just don't see how you can't be. I mean, it's like she's all hooked up in evil.
Where are we missing this conversation about who this man was and the things that he said?
We're not missing it. You are.
How do you not find that reprehensible, Caitlin?
No, I don't.
Yeah, reprehensible is such a perfect word there to describe that ridiculous.
This is Steve Turley, in case you didn't know.
Ridiculous excuse for U.S. representative. Now, as you just heard there, she doubled down. She doubled down on her blatantly dishonest bio characterizations of Charlie. And obviously, she couldn't remotely hold her own in a debate with him. So she tarnishes his reputation after his death, accusing him of racism and bigotry and sexism, all the same old tired frames of reference that exhaust what little a liberal has for a mind. But if you really think it through, all Ilhan Omar has done is indicted herself in all that. And that's because Omar routinely uses the very hateful, inflammatory language that she just as routinely decries. Not a day goes by where she refrains from calling her opponents fascists and Nazis, making references to 1930s Germany, which she, of course, knows nothing about, being a historical illiterate. But she literally parrots the very frames of reference that Charlie's killer appealed to in those text messages with his trans roommate lover. When asked why he shot Charlie because Charlie is filled with hate. And there's just some hate you can't compromise with. How's that different from what anything Ilhan Omar says? The fact that she constantly appeals to Trump and the Republicans as fascist and authoritarian, ironically, is also self-defeating, given that fascists and authoritarians would never allow public dissent like that.
See, that's the thing that bothers me, is they're sitting there and they're saying how much we are the fascists, we are the Nazis, we're all this kind of thing. But yet when you try to talk to them and you try to figure out if we can at least come to an agreement on reality, they just flip out and you can't even talk to them at all. It's like their brain is absolutely on stall. And so I don't know how you can unite with that. And I don't know how you can tolerate that kind of thing. And in fact, most people aren't tolerating it anymore. Ilhan Omar is now being investigated into how she got into this country in the first place, which should be very interesting, because if she was, first of all, she's committed immigration fraud anyway with her brother, marrying him to get him into the country and that kind of stuff. I know she's already done campaign fraud and all kinds of stuff. So, and she's got a criminal background. So I don't know why she's even here. I really don't. I think once you start committing treason against our country, you need to get out. It's obvious she doesn't even like this country. So I do think she needs to get out. And I'd say that to her ridiculous face. So now we're going to segue into the other thing, because she's talking about Charlie, and I want you to see this clip.
What? Who are you?
Might have to turn it up.
My lucky number. What?
Okay, now that is a clip from a movie called Snake Eyes, which was in 1998. And interesting enough, there in this movie is a character named Charles Kirkland. Charles Kirkland is shot in the neck, and it was on September 10th. So I think I've told you this before on multiple occasions, that evil is going to tell you what it's going to do before it does it. But there's some other things in this particular thing that are interesting as well, including the Tyler reference. So if you haven't seen the movie Snake Eyes, which I have not, I don't remember seeing it, and I'm going to watch it probably tonight. It's very interesting how this movie has a lot of similarities between what happened to Charlie Kirk and what happens to the character in this particular movie. So this is a guy who is analyzing the shooting and in comparison with the movie.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Decoding with Cody. Today is
Decoding
September 20th. It is the first.
Okay, I want to show you this. Let's go. Cody, say it. Oh.
It is the first thing that you see. September 10th, guys. When did Tyler execute Charlie?
Now look, in this particular movie, look at this. What about the Simpsons? You're constantly projecting the future. I know, it's weird. In this movie, Snake Eyes, which has Nicolas Cage in it, here's the fight that's going to be happening. It's the Atlantic City, and the executioner's name, it's Executioner Tyler versus, it looks like Ruiz there, September 10th at 10 p.m. So that is where, if I notice the scene, it looks as if the scene where the shooter assassinates Charles Kirkland is at this particular fight. So this is very interesting. It's September 10th, Executioner Tyler, and a character named Charles Kirkland. I don't think these things are always in fact, I don't think any of this stuff is coincidence. I haven't seen coincidences. Let's see, I'm 63. I used to think there were some, and now I don't think there are any.
September 10th. Like, do I need to even say anything more?
Not really.
Is there, but that's not even it. Not only is this the fight, but this is the actual event where Charles Kirkland, the guy in the movie's name is Charles Kirkland.
Yeah.
He gets shot, not only shot, but also
in the same
neck.
In the same
This is Charles Kirkland in the movie on September 10th, getting shot in the neck, blood pouring out just like Charlie Kirk, almost in the same spot.
That's what I said.
And okay, like, and at the very moment that Charles Kirkland gets shot right here, this guy, the Secretary of Defense in the movie, the boxer in the ring, Tyler, the executioner, wakes up because he gets knocked out before the shot, and then he wakes up. Okay, so get it? Like, it's a waking people up. I believe that this event has a chance to wake us up. Okay? This is proof. We need to share this far and wide with everyone.
I'm going to tell you, I don't know if it's proof, but I do know that evil has to tell you what it's going to do before it does. Okay, now this was a long time ago. 1998 was this movie, and this is 2025. So it's almost like, are we really in the Matrix? I mean, I think sometimes we're in the Matrix to a point, but are we in the Matrix?
Every person that we can, because again, we've already gotten the stupidest story from the police that this bullet somehow got lodged in Charlie's neck, when it's impossible for a bullet of that size to just get stuck in his neck. It would blow through him. So there's a lie right there. And then we get this, a movie that was released 27 years ago, where a guy named Charles Kirkland is shot in the neck during a fight with Tyler. And just to remember, Charles Kirk, shot in the neck by Tyler. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
On September 10th. Exactly like in the movie. Exactly. So let me go over to Snake Eyes just to prove this. The guy who gets shot.
He's showing you a Wikipedia page right now.
Right here. When Ruiz unexpectedly knocks out Tyler with gunshots ring out, mortally wounding Kirkland, whose name is Charles in the movie, Charles Kirkland, and it grazes Julia. Now, this is where it gets crazier, is this woman, before he gets shot, she tells him in the movie, "You're the one that's going to be sorry, Charles." Julia. And this is the blonde-haired woman. Now, who does this remind us of, guys? A blonde-haired woman connected to the Kirk shooting. Oh, you think it might be the wife?
Yeah.
But she's telling Charlie that you're going to be sorry before this happens, and then he
time travel. That's an interesting thing. I don't think it's necessarily time travel. I just all I can say is that I know evil has to tell you what it's going to do before it does it, in some form, whether it's entertainment, music, somebody telling you, a movie, a commercial, whatever. They're always telling you everything that they're doing. Sometimes it's in a bill. Maybe a nurse. No, he's equating it to Charlie's wife.
Gets shot, and this woman ends up becoming the main part of the movie, I believe. I haven't even watched the whole movie through. But Julia ends up escaping and steals a black satin jacket to disguise herself. You guys get it? They're even telling us that this blonde-haired woman ends up becoming a disguised person. She's not what she seems to be.
Which is so interesting that he would say that, because yes, I keep saying something is weird with his wife. Something, now maybe it's just me. Maybe there's nothing weird with his wife. I I'm just telling you what the feeling is that I'm getting. Is there something weird with Charlie Kirk's wife? And he just said that she becomes more predominant in the movie. Well, isn't that what happened? What's happening with with Charlie Kirk's wife? She's now elevated to CEO of Turning Point USA. Absolutely, she is. Now, I just so you know, I don't discuss all this stuff with all my podcast friends and all my conservative friends or anything like that. I don't want them to influence my thinking in one way or another as far as like, you know, that's weird or something like that. You're weird. Derek Johnson has been doing a lot of breakdown on Charlie Kirk's wife. Interesting. I'm just saying there's something weird with his wife.
He's a snake.
Yeah, shout out Decoding Our Reality. I was going to say this later, but yeah, we are in the year of the snake. And
yeah, see, that's another weird thing. This, you know how there's Chinese years, whatever. This is the Chinese year of the snake.
But yeah, I'm just going to leave it there.
Exactly.
Shout out Logan.
We are in the year of the snake right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump, he reads the poem The Snake.
Mm-hmm.
So again,
if you don't know what the poem is, The Snake, you need to go read it, because it's basically, you already knew that I was poisonous. You already knew that I would bite you. You already knew all these things, and and yet you let me into the house. So if I turn around and I bite you and I do things like that to you, it's of no surprise because you already know who I was. And that's one of the problems that I have with some of these people who call themselves Republicans, is it's like you can already see this person is a snake. Just because they happen to be running as a Republican does not make them conservative. And instead of vetting these people, they just say, well, he's a Republican. Would you rather me vote for the Democrat? I'd rather you get a new candidate. That's what I'd rather you do. Get somebody else who's actually going to tell you the truth and do what they say they're going to do. That's not going to be very predominant in politics, because they will try every way that they can to do something to you, which has happened to several people who are who were in Congress. And George, he just went to prison just the other day. It wasn't very long ago. I can't remember what his name is, but he's a Republican, and he was questioning a whole lot of voting that was going on. And so they threw him under the bus, got rid of him, made charges against him that really normally nobody would have those charges against him. And I'm not saying I'm for him. He's from New York. I can't remember his last name, but anyway, you guys know who I'm talking about. And he just went to jail, or prison actually. And I think it's like for 1.5 years or something. It's not a long time, but it's long enough.
Let me just show you proof that the guy's name is Charles Kirkland. Right here. The guy that gets assassinated is Charles Kirkland.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to spend another 2 minutes for all the new people just rolling in one more time.
Listen.
On September 10th, in the movie Snake Eyes, released 27 years ago, Executioner Tyler is in the ring. And at the moment of that ring match, a guy named Charles Kirk is shot in the movie. Okay? Charles Kirkland, whatever. Just the land is as added. Yep. On September 10th, the same day. All right? And
Charlie was murdered. He was assassinated on September 10th.
And I want to give a big shout out to Joseph. This is the next thing. The name of the guy in the ring who plays
Lincoln Tyler
in the movie is Lincoln Tyler. That's the name of the character in the movie. Well, now we have the Lincoln connection, assassination, right? Abraham Lincoln.
This is so bizarro world to me. I mean, you gotta thank God for having autistic people, because autistic people dig on stuff. What is really strange is what he was buried right away before the autopsy. Well, we don't know if he was buried right away before the autopsy, because normally that happens pretty fast. And by the way, just so you know, usually in my lifetime, people were buried within 3 to 4 days of whatever happened to them. So the autopsy is usually performed fairly quickly, and then they go on from there. But yeah, Lincoln Tyler, assassination and Tyler, weird.
But Lincoln Tyler, this is Joseph Aquaviva. Make sure you guys go subscribe and watch Joseph Aquaviva's video as well.
The reason I'm letting you see all this stuff is so you guys can subscribe to these people too.
Please go give that a like and give him a sub.
If you
Right
want.
here is his video. Okay. But what Joseph found is that if you type in the name of the character, Tyler, Lincoln Tyler in the movie, and the shooter of Charles Kirk, it literally equals the same in gematria. On top of all of that, we didn't even talk about one number, but on top of all of that,
These guys are into numbers. I'm not really into numbers, but I do think that numbers have something to do with things. So it is kind of interesting that Tyler Robinson and Lincoln Tyler have the same number equations when you go to this gematrynometer thing that they're typing their name in.
the guy's name is Tyler, and he has an exact gematria match in the same cipher as the shooter that they tell us. This is, again, more proof.
Crazy.
Yeah.
By the way, on TikTok, they're mentioning 33 is the court file number. Is it really? Wow. Okay, so 33 hours. This is just like bizarro world. 33. Okay, so, and I know what one of my friends in particular is probably going to be. That's not true. But the 33 levels of the Masons. So 33 is a predominant number. Disney has Club 33. And now 33 hours it took them to catch the person. I need more butter, he says.
I thank you, Joseph. If you type in the headline to the movie,
all the numbers of the case,
believe everything except your eyes. Guys, they're literally telling you here, don't believe what they're showing you. It's so crazy what they're showing.
With that
All
famous hand gesture.
In the famous hand gesture, yes.
Well, I'm not going to say anything about that hand gesture because, I mean, people do sit there and they put their hands together like that. I don't really think that's a gesture in this particular picture of Nicolas Cage on the cover of Snake Eyes. I mean, it'd be one thing if he had the OK sign over his eye or something like that. I could see that. But this is just a guy sitting in a chair and having his hands together as guys do. I'm not going to read anything into that part.
Trump and Elon Musk were both literally doing that same hand pose.
See what I mean? That part is weird.
During Charlie Kirk's memorial, and then everyone's like, "Hey, go look at Trump and Elon. They're buddies again." Literally sitting there with that hand gesture.
Which I don't
care. Exactly. Believe everything except your eyes. As Joseph pointed out, 165.
Wow.
Believe everything except
and Charlie Kirk's last post
symbol
or his last words are
it looked
counting,
more like the Star Trek symbol, you know, the little thing that's on their uniforms, all of them when they hit that thing and they talk to each other. It did look like that.
Or not counting gang violence.
You forgot the O, ironically enough.
Counting or not counting gang. These are the last words of Charlie Kirk. Counting or not counting gang violence. 165.
Autistic people those hand gestures are a thing. I think some of them are a thing, but I don't think that particular one was a thing. And I can't say, I mean, when people are relaxing and they're, you know, sitting on a bench or sitting in a chair, you know, Donald Trump will frequently lean forward and put his hands together. I don't think he's making a sign. I think it is just a natural thing that people do, you know, like when you say, okay, no problem. And then they were like, that's a white supremacist signal. I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, what are you talking about? That is over the top. I think some things are a thing to them, but I think they can also determine what's a natural thing and what is I'm making a gesture. I think people are able to determine that, you know. if they use common
You
sense.
guys understand?
Yeah,
And
situation.
Orem, Utah,
Orem, Utah.
I believe equals 165 in one of these ciphers.
Well, you can put anything.
I
in
might
the
be
cipher.
wrong.
A
Or
register-
Orem. Yeah, Orem, 165 in Latin. So let's keep
Okay.
adding the 165s.
People look too much into
Just
that,
to make
but
this
I
even
think
more
that's
clear.
true. Okay, I want to
P5.
get past the numbers. Let's get past the numbers. He is
Again,
a
I
good
shared this,
quote.
and you guys need to go back and watch 8. We're going to let him happen again. We're going to let this
Cody.
happen again. Okay.
Well said, brother.
Likes help
Oh, I
us.
didn't hear it.
United Nations, the New World Order, uniting the nations.
look
I
at
mean,
this.
come on. The Antichrist and Left
Tyler
Behind with
Robinson, 186.
Kirk
The world
Cameron
state, 186.
is the guy who leads the United Nations.
United
And Trump
Nations.
was there today on the birthday of the guy who makes the movie. Again, I shared this, and you guys need to go back and watch AJ's stream, eye to eye. I shared all this today. Trump in the United Nations on the birthday of the guy.
West.
Well,
Wow, 9/11, the 156 prime, and those are the same numbers reversed, and he died a day before 9/11.
Right.
Cody, I don't even need to like share my screen and stuff. I'll let you drive.
biblical.
Well, you know how many it says I have in the chat right now? Look,
But I can't see it. I can't see it.
165. It was just on 165.
So, do you know who directed this movie, Snake Eyes?
No.
Isn't it? So just go to Google really quick. Type in Brian De Palma.
Brian De Palma.
Brian De Palma, and then type in his birthday, or just Brian De Palma birthday.
Wait, I think I can find it right here. Okay. Brian De Palma. Oh my goodness, his birthday is September 11th. Guys.
Well, that's crazy. I mean, just so you know, all this stuff seems like craziness to me, but it does biblically connect, because it does say that there will be people who are murdered in the name of Christ at the end. And, you know, I think that has been happening for actually a long time. There were almost through my entire adulthood, there have been Christians that have been murdered in various countries because they believed in God. It's not crazy. It's numerology. Well, I think you can go over the top on the numerology thing. And the reason I'm saying that is because you can put, as you saw right in front of your face, you could see that people were that they were typing different things in, and if it didn't match here, it matched over here, or match over here, or match over here. So I don't necessarily always agree with all that stuff. I think sometimes you can just stuff it in something and make it be what you want. It really isn't that thing at all. The gesture. There are some times when gestures are just gestures. That 0011001 thing is that's like computer stuff. The whole world has been a stage since JFK. I think the whole world has been a stage since way before that, including 1933. And I think it might have started back in 1871, because in 1871, Lincoln is the one who established the second Constitution, and also the District of Columbia was created under Lincoln. Okay. And that was when the corporation became something, and the republic. So there was the republic and the corporation of the United States at the same time. So the original Constitution was the Constitution for the United States of America. And this Constitution that everybody is always talking about is the Constitution of the United States of America. So there's two different things going on at the same time. And I think it's so much easier to understand this stuff if you're a business person. And the reason I say that is because business people, you have to come up with a name for your company. Okay, so that's already fiction to begin with. You get a fictitious name certificate for your business. but your business is treated like a person, like a living being, okay, when it's really not. And so I think sometimes these concepts are a little easier for people to actually figure out when you're a business person. You can have no nobility of title. Yeah, exactly. Since the Titanic, well, that could be true too, because the Titanic was a thing, which I didn't think it was a thing, but it is. I think it was a lawyer, and the original 13th Amendment did not allow lawyers. I know. That is so true. See, I didn't think the Titanic was actually an issue. I'm like, yeah, you guys are just dreaming. Well, then I actually looked into the history of the Titanic and who was on it at the time and what was going on politically at the time. The central bank was trying to get into the United States of America, and it couldn't figure out how. And some of the bankers, there were three, I believe, there were three who were on, three people opposing the central bank being in the United States who were on the Titanic at the time. Lawyers belong to the bar. I know. It's so. I was just watched a YouTube video called Kabbalah by Ben Born Again. Very eye-opening. You might have to watch that. But yeah, so this was a crazy, the Titanic was actually a sister ship. Yeah, I know, because what was the name of the other ship? I can't remember the name of the other ship. A huge fire broke out in the sister ship, which weakened the hull. Yeah. But the Titanic wasn't the one that was supposed to be setting sail, if I remember correctly. But there was other people who had booked a trip on the Titanic, and they didn't go. And it's almost like they duped. I think that's right. The Olympic. They duped those guys to book passage on that Titanic. But I didn't really think it was a thing until I read the stuff about the banking cartel in The Creature from Jekyll Island. That was when I was like, okay, the Titanic was sunk on purpose. That, yes. Yeah. See, Samuel, you are a smart person. Samuel actually is answering. He's like, when I don't know what it is, I can just look down here and Samuel's got it. Are you like the news director back there? Sometimes Richard does the same thing, and Brian Richard does the same thing. Think of the Titanic brought in centralized banking. Yes, that's true. Because I do know also Abe wasn't so honest. Boy, is that true. Yeah, it was the Olympic. Abe wasn't so honest, but when he tried to pay the England debt with silver certificates, and then he's died. Yeah, there was a whole bunch of stuff. The Civil War wasn't even about slavery. In fact, Lincoln didn't even care about slavery at all. At all. He had to do the Emancipation Proclamation because the Democrats would not agree to let the slaves go. But that was an executive order because the Democrats wouldn't do it. But he really didn't care. He's just trying to keep the peace. But his main goal was this central bank issue. And so, yeah, it was all about the central bank. Lincoln actually had colonies in Africa set up to ship the slaves back. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch more stuff going on in the history of America than what you're taught in school. And I kind of wish that kids were taught some of this stuff. You know, it might give them a different perspective on what's really going on. Now, we, obviously, you and I, had nothing to do with all that stuff. We are generations from that. So, you know, these people trying to get reparations and all that stuff, well, where's mine? What's with the Lincoln-Kennedy connection with the names? Well, the Lincoln-Kennedy connection, it had something to do with their assassinations and all that kind of stuff, and John Wilkes Booth, and it's a whole thing. You'll have to look it up. That's a long discussion. Allegedly, Lincoln wanted the people in the North to go to work for the people in the South to be prosperous. I don't know. Could be. Every race has been enslaved. Exactly. I mean, slavery has been a thing ever since I can remember. And you know what? This thing with the left, I remember I was thinking this earlier when I was listening to some left-wingers and I think they were debating Republicans, if I remember correctly. But anyway, they were saying, oh, I know what it was. It was students talking. And the students were saying, I think we need more gun control. I think we need more gun control. And I thought to myself, well, wait a minute. that doesn't even hold water. That argument does not hold water, because murder has been a thing ever since the beginning of time. When Cain slew Abel, he didn't have a gun. What about all the wars that have happened without guns? I mean, guns weren't even a thing until really recently in the history of the world. If you take in consideration the whole history of the world, guns have only been around for a teeny tiny portion. So you want to regulate that, but you don't want to regulate something else. And then after all that rhetoric that we heard at the beginning, okay, so if all of that was true and all the guns were gone, why does England have a very high murder rate? Didn't they ban guns? What about Australia? They banned guns. What about all these countries that ban guns? What about the cities that are Democrat cities, where they have the most violence and they have the strictest gun laws? So that should tell you it doesn't make much difference about a gun law. And who's going to obey a gun law anyway? It's going to be a law-abiding citizen. It's not going to be a criminal. It's just so dumb. Yeah, why does England have an acid problem? Every single time you try to tighten the screws down on people, the criminals don't care, because the only thing that happens is the screws get tightened on the people who are actually wanting to do good things. Because if it worked, if all of these rules and regulations were working all the time, like they say they are, then why are the prisons full? Why is the jail full? Why? I mean, sure, we can go back down the route of cops. You know, they're the largest street gang in America. I get that. But there's also people there who are violent. This call was a huge help for me. Good. Thank you for giving me his number. You're welcome. They are properties of the state. Well, everybody's a property of the state until you say you're not. I mean, unfortunately, you got to tell them I'm out. It's just like saying, you know, I was thinking the other day about what would I do if somebody really evil comes into my presence. Well, isn't that interesting? There was a guy who I perceived to be evil. And I had my office, and he was going to come into my office area. And I just perceived this evilness coming out of him. And I was like, no, I don't want him to cross the threshold. So I said to him, I just looked at him and I said, I know exactly who you are, and you need to get out of my office. Now, I wasn't talking to the person. I was talking to the entity in him. You need to get out of my office, and you need to go away right now. And the guy turned around and left. But I mean, I do think that things like that can happen. And I think we need to be aware. Some of us are more aware than others of things like that. And, you know, I just really think that in today's society, it's something that you need to consider. Because it's coming down to, you're going to be on one side or the other. You're going to be on the side of bad, or you're going to be on the side of good. You're going to be on good, or you're going to be on evil. You can't be a fence sitter. That's not going to cut it. Because you're going to be asked, what did you do? What did you do to help fix the problem? What did you do? What were your actions? What actions did you take? Because being vigilant is an action. The guy who makes my Costco jeans, what does that have to do with anything? Are you just like, I mean, why? Why? I may lose my head for my beliefs. Well, exactly. That's why on the back of my neck, I have a tattoo that is the Tree of Life with the heart of Christ in it. So, oh, Kirkland jeans. That's so funny. No, we were talking about the movie called Snake Eyes, which featured a character called Charles Kirkland. And Charles Kirkland was assassinated on September 10th at a fight in the movie. Okay, was assassinated on September 10th at an event where the executioner Tyler was having a fight, like a boxing fight. That's who Charles Kirkland is. So if you want to see that, you're going to want to go see the Snake Eyes 1998 movie and see if you can pick out anything else that is in that movie that might tell you something that you didn't know. All right, guys, hope you have a great rest of your day. And don't forget that my regular show, is on Monday through Friday at 2 to 3 p.m. every single day. Talk to you later.
Shadows, hollow heart finding hope when none follow, searching for truth in